Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
good afternoon,
Mariette.
good evening.
Oh, yes, yes. It's a morning in Seattle, Washington. It's maybe an evening for Mariette, right, Mariette? So today we have an amazing guest with us, Mariett Ramm, and we will be talking about self-empowerment. This is a subject which we already talked about, but I am curious to know the subject from different perspectives. So I'm not gonna go through the credentials of Mariette, but because I would like to know more about the human being, the person behind Mariette, and how she got into this path of empowering others. I know empowerment reflects also resilience. There is a lot of resilience behind what you are doing, but I will let you talk more about your journey and what got you into this path.
Thank you so much, and it's absolute pleasure to be with you. And warm welcome to everybody who is going to join the conversation. I'm looking forward to some great discussions, some great questions from you, ladies, from the audience. Great hour ahead of us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here with us. So, it is really an honor to have you here because you are a best-selling author. You have built an empire in the corporate world. You have created a name for yourself while facing a lot of personal challenges and while going through the struggles that we all go through. And we were discussing before going live about the fact that you did not choose, despite going through really rough background and challenges in your life, you did not choose to label yourself as a victim, and you went ahead with everything that you were doing in your life, and you chose to be a person who builds and who empowers other people and who creates a life that is inspiring. And I would like to know more about this part of yourself and share the story that you were sharing with us earlier before going live, because I know so many people struggle, and it is very easy to slide down the path of becoming a victim and holding on to the victim identity. Both Hanan and I work with people, and we see that a lot in the people that we are coaching. It is very difficult once you attach yourself to the identity of being a victim to let go of it and to move on. So I was really curious if you can share with us some of the stories that you feel that it took a lot of effort for you to overcome, and that you feel are very inspiring to other women and other people out there. And how did you work your self through the challenges, and how did you get to detach yourself from the victim label, or not let it apply to you, either by yourself or by other people as well?
No, I love this one. Is because you know we like to think about that. We are on LinkedIn, and we like to think about from a corporate sense, and we all want to do something, want to say something that it's very much to specific to industry. At the end of the day, and I love seeing these kind of approaches from huge, massive entrepreneurs as well, with millions of followers, who are advocating the fact that at the end of the day, behind a profile, there is a human. It's all about, sorry, I lost my mouse. And I really hope that the connection is okay, because for me on that, okay, good. So it's only at my end.
That's okay.
Because whoever is sitting in that board chair is a person, it's a mother, it's a father, it's a sister, it's someone who is going through a divorce, or someone who's had a miscarriage, or someone who is carrying all sorts of things, financial issues, loss of parents, loss of anything. And we kind of tend to think about it, okay, I'm in the board now and we are discussing of where the company is going and the company's culture, and let's do this and all these funky, all these sexy kind of new things that are coming along and looks really, really good in the content. But I really want to see of, who is that human behind? If that human can really open up in an authentic way, that it's authentic to herself or himself. And here is, I don't want to go into gender issues here. I know that there are a lot of people who are, it's insane. People are getting criticized that, because I mention her, I have to mention him, or if I mention him, I have to mention it's all about the humanity angle. It's I can only speak from this perspective because I feel I'm a fully functioning female. I've got my estrogen, and I think that's my most authentic self. And this is basically a topic that I have been working on and discovering more regarding to self-empowerment, and on the most authentic spectrum of how I can see it really working for women, because that is who I am. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have respect for gentlemen. I've got amazing respect for, and I've had some amazing mentors. Bob Proctor, unfortunately, the late Bob Proctor, who just recently passed away, very good friend and close friend, and the mentor who was basically alongside, gosh, I don't know how many years. And going back to the victim part of it is really when I started to kind of come to terms with, and I hope that many people who are listening to this or will listen to this will kind of see themselves in the same position, is that I was just really full of what just happened, or what just happened over the years, and the actual kind of triumph, that the human triumph, that I was able to do that. But in a way, I also very much emphasize the fact of that, we live in basically in an economy whereby we need some contribution. And I very much applaud those initiatives whereby people going out and setting up startups and really finding ways to enrich the economy and moving things forward. And I wanted to be basically part of that economy in a way that really supports humanitarian values as well. It was just a way of feeling that, because one overcomes a sexual, sexual, what's the word? I'm not even thinking about it now,
Yeah.
or eating disorder or suicide attempts or any of those things. It's somehow there is more to life, and there is those skills. And I think it's important in that particular curve. That's also what I'm exploring in my upcoming work in, is the power of the cycles. We seem to, and we women are exceptionally resonate with this, obviously, because of the menstrual cycle. In a way that everything is up and down. And once we understand that where we are exactly in our cycles, either it may be a biological cycle, may be a mental cycle, a spiritual cycle, but once we are understanding that what point we are actually at the current moment in time, we understand either we're going to go down or we're going to go up. And according to that, we are able to basically to really to understand in a way of, okay, if that is going to be my next step, those are going to be the consequences, and remain on a base level, so to speak. And when you look at the balance and each side of balance, you don't want to really kind of that's just kind of really,
Yeah.
and that is where the optimum performance is for every human male or female. So, and it was personally very, very important to me, and I hope that many resonate with the message when I say that in order to really establish trust and authority, I think it's necessary for a person to actually to show that this is what I have done. It's all nice to put, wonderfully professionally made images on LinkedIn and quoting basically gurus from thousands of years ago, and which is resonating and great. But public relations, and I have been in public relations as well, have worked with quite a lot of entities on government levels as well, so I know what it's all about. PR can be, well, PR is PR at the end of the day, but there has to be something really fundamentally solid to that person in order to really to give that authentic level of leadership that I believe it's going to move us forward, because I believe that we are still pioneers. We are very much at the beginning of kind of this spectrum of self-empowerment, using the self-empowerment as a catalyst for positive and meaningful changes. It's still very much in baby shoes. And I think the more authentic and the more heartfelt messages coming from people with experiences, the better.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. I mean, I believe also that combining the human skills with a fancy profile and credentials is really what makes a difference, because I met a lot of people with very fancy resumes, but they are unable really to show that human side of them, which make them, well, I would say just, okay, maybe experts in their domains, but not that authentic self, able to connect with people at the human level. And this is what makes us different. Building that authentic self and then connecting with people, understanding, being compassionate. And this is what we really need more and more, especially during this pandemic that highlighted this problem. So I would like to ask you a question, because I always have an interest in knowing how people in what skills they dive into to build that resilience. And looking at your journey and all what you have gone through, from sexual abuse, eating disorder, the loss of your husband and child, and I'm so sorry for that. And then just 1 week ago, the loss of your dad. Can you tell us what kind of skills you needed, and how did you make it to build that resilience throughout this journey?
Wow. That's actually a very tricky question, because when you go through certain elements, you don't really think, you just take things as they are. And I think it's that basic element of survival that human survival, and the faith and the hope that after there has to be something good that comes out of this. And I still, when you think about it, and it is within the mental cycle as well, that after people, what you just expressed now is when a particular person gets hammered and hammered and hammered day after day after day after day, they get of really exhaustion and capitulation, and they say that there is just no way out of this. There is just no way out of this. And it can be very draining. It can be very draining. It is incredibly draining. And a lot of people who actually decide at that point, which is basically, in my view, is the most potent, when you look at an emotional cycle of when you are really on an exhilaration level, when everything is going right and everything just seems to be falling into place, and time, and then the direct opposite is basically when you capitulate and you say, okay, this is it, I'm packing up now, give me the gun, or give me the rope, or I'm jumping from here, or I'm jumping in front of a fast train. But that point is actually when I think back, is the biggest potential for self-growth. It's kind of pushes to a level, pushes to out of a comfort zone into a territory that it's not really the learning. It's kind of such a cathartic feeling in a way that, and it kind of happens on level, how a person experiences this capitulation. It's complex in a way, but in a way it facilitates a internal mechanism within the body that's going to kind of give up this kind of hype that there is something there. There is something there, that there has to be something there. There really has to be something there. And I think that kind of cathartic feeling is really that I was hanging on to, this kind of letting go feelings that I was really hanging on to, that after all this there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. And this is actually the point where I do believe that you're absolutely done. You've got various different skills of what you can apply. And again, it's kind of different to where you are. But in this particular point, and I'm going to explore this very much further into, and I don't know how much I can actually tell about this at this particular point in time. But that point is very powerful when it comes to the actual self-development and the actual mentorship from other people. And the best way that I can say is that, if you find yourself, you get in a, you get in a well, you get in a hole, you kind of walk around in the middle of the night and bing, you just kind of land up. So you've got several options. Okay. You kind of, you start screaming, you start, please, and then suddenly someone comes along and then they lower you a ladder or a rope or whatever, and then you manage to kind of get out. So how I see that is really as a reaching out to help for a professional. And here I'm not meaning, well-meaning friends are great and they're very, very important in life. But at this particular moment in time, you need professionals like you guys to really to drag that person out of that hole, to lower that ladder. A friend, as well as well-meaning, as well as loving and supporting, can't do it. Needs to be a professional.
Yeah.
The second option that you have got is basically you kind of find yourself in this well, and then you kind of start thinking that, hang on a minute, and if it's kind of, you start to kind of find some things that maybe fill in the hole or something, and kind of dig on the side, or find some rocks and start. So it's kind of what you already accumulated from personal life prior, but you realize in a way that, okay, it's kind of, I'm getting somewhere, but I'm not getting in a way fast as I'm still in this hole. So you carry on screaming, and then eventually someone comes along and then they help you out. Okay. So this process is something that obviously takes you longer, but you use your kind of previous abilities and learned lessons, so to speak. But then you can learn is that I had that outside help, and how much it really pushed me forward. That really amazing mentor, that really amazing coach, that really amazing professional medical help that I needed in order to move out of this. And the third one is when you are in this hole, and then you just say, you know what, I'll just stay here. And that is what I really don't even want to think about. And there could be, I'm not an expert really on suicides and why people who opt for that particular option would go for that. Certainly think about finances, about the total loss of everything, and the calculation of, okay, if I get out of this hole, what the consequences are. If I get out of this hole, am I going to be imprisoned? Am I going to be financially sound? So some people just can't face the
The
what lies
challenge.
ahead of them for the next 5, 10 years, 15 years, very often. Unfortunately, I've known some people who committed suicide, yeah, in business world, obviously, it's kind of a rocky path. But
Mhm.
anyways,
Yeah.
moving on from there. So it's I don't think I've got a short answer to that, Hanane.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we all come from different stories of resilience, and for sure, each one had its her or his own resources to come out from these holes. And I personally was there at 9 years old with the loss of my eye. I had to handle many things without any external help, because at that time, I don't think we used to talk often about coaches or anyway. I had to find my own way and grow resilient without any help. That was I was struggling. That took me a lot of time. Maybe with an external help that could have been easier, but within me, as you said, you stop and you say, oh, this is not fair, what happened to me. This is not what I expected from life, but there should be something behind that. There should be a meaning behind that. And then you just embrace faith, and that's okay. There is something good behind this, so I should keep going. For me, that was really the thing. No, I shouldn't give up on myself, because maybe there is something bigger behind this story, and behind this loss, and behind this pain, and behind this. And you keep exploring, and of course sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's even more difficult, and you fail, you fall, and you raise up again and again and again, and it's amazing. I mean, if we ask Saluta right now, she will tell us also different she used different strategies, and it's amazing how every single person has can grow resilient using different resources and different strategies. And then, yeah, Saluta, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we're different. Obviously, we come from different backgrounds and we use the skills that we have and different resources. But in the end, listening to all the stories, to Mariett's story, knowing your story, Hannah, knowing my story, knowing it, all the guests that we've had in our show and people that we are working with, it all comes down to the same thing: reaching out for people. So not staying there alone, not considering yourself as being alone in this world and having to fight whatever you're going through yourself alone. That's one thing. So reaching out to people, a community of people, professionals. Sometimes, I know friends are not the best things, but only somebody listening to you sometimes helps, right? And the other thing is finding meaning, finding purpose, and the faith. I mean, we can call it faith, we can call it bigger meaning, we can call it various names, but it's actually a trust and a belief that there is more to our lives than whatever we're going through. And there must be something that we are meant here to happen. And there is something here that is, because of what we are going through, there must be something more to us that we need to learn and to maybe give back to the world that we are living in. So we all have different strategies: meditation, mindfulness, whatever. We go to coaches, we go to yoga, we run, we take cold showers, whatever. But it comes down to the same things: reaching out to a community of people who can understand you and who can give you the support that you need, the professional support. It's faith in something bigger than us, right? And it's this deep belief and trust that you need to develop within yourself, that you will definitely grow stronger out of it if you are willing to go through the process. You will not get out of this weaker, definitely. So I think regardless of the tools, the particular tools that we're using, it's the same thing. It all comes down to these basic things, right? The community of people and the faith, which is so big, or whatever we can call it. Maybe some people don't call it faith; they call it, I don't know, a deep belief or the meaning or whatever. But for me, it's faith, right? Faith in something bigger, and faith in my own power, and trust that I am more than this human being struggling with whatever I'm struggling, right, in that moment. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that, and again, I'm going back to these cycles, and you come out of your, you start to realize that there is something more to life, and then you get from kindergarten to school, and then university, and then start new life, and then in your 20s, 30s, experiences are kind of adding up and really enriching the journey. And I do believe that's kind of from a spiritual perspective of every single person is here for a specific lesson for themselves, and there is a predestination. So in a way of, someone may get an enlightened kind of a paradigm shift, a moment very early on in a lifetime. Some people never get it. And it's entirely, that's part of their journey. Who someone is 70, 80, and it just goes through the same, it's just part of their journey. And again, it's kind of, is okay at your end, because for me it keeps kind of getting stuck. Can you hear me continuously?
Yes.
Okay, my end is a kind of stop. And what is that point? What is that really point when one really realizes that this is my personal moment. This is my personal moment. And I was kind of sure of it, kind of suspected when I was kind of in my early 30s that I was going through, but that wasn't really that in depth. What I call the spiritual mind and body approach. I didn't think that, and now thinking back, that I just did not have that fully complex of understanding of how basically this whole ensemble as me was to be put together, and for what purpose. And even now when I think about it, but it was a great journey of self-worth, of learning about self-love. Obviously with eating disorder, there is a lot of issues and this is still an incredibly, when I think about it, it's just such a taboo, eating disorder and various addictions on social media, because you can't talk about this in a corporate environment, because what will people think? at the end of the day, women are struggling behind closed doors and closed curtains. And
You're
it's,
giving me goosebumps saying that,
yeah, and I really want to say, whoever is on the other side and having these particular issues, either with, with alcohol or drugs, or, or sex addiction, or shopping addiction, any kind of addiction, food addiction, obviously it is absolutely the classic one, is that, you're not alone, absolutely not alone. And if you're going to be basically be cut out of an environment because you're struggling, because it's a mental health issue, it is a mental health issue at the end of the day. And you can't be discriminated because of this, and you can't hide. It's just another shameful thing of that, I can't talk about this, I have to hide this, etc., etc., etc. But I be a point in everyone's life when they say enough is enough. And I think for me, that really happened over the course of last year. And somehow kind of COVID accelerated this. A lot of people started to come forward as a result of basically being at home and really realizing that what was going on in their lives prior, they realized that their real priorities, they realized that what their real values were. Communities definitely online, they became more robust, they became more supportive in a way of communities move forward with a united agenda. So it was kind of us against the COVID, and it was great in a way that, we kind of, got united, and it's great. I mean, let's just not, I start to think about geopolitics now, but I don't go into geopolitics. Let's just leave that one onto the other side. But yeah, self-love is definitely, it's a journey. Self-esteem stems from very much from an early upbringing of who you think you really are. And it's really the realization, when the realization and stuck that, I am an individual entity. I really am. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm really grateful for my, what they did, and my teachers, or whoever happened to be part of my upbringing, so to speak. But really, I'm an infinite spirit. And if that's the way that you see things, and you prefer to kind of identify, so to speak, with these kind of beliefs, as opposed to that, I am a daughter of so and so, and I'm supposed to be so and so and so and so. It's kind of it's kind of a liberation, but everybody finds their own way of basically expressing themselves at the end of the day. Self-motivation, obviously, self-confidence is something that it's all, it's all part of self. And as you mentioned as well, that, believe in yourself when no one else yourself. When
Absolutely.
you start a publication and everybody's saying to you that, oh no, because we have Forbes, and we have the Rob's report, and we've got, oh, you're not gonna go in. Yeah, right, okay, watch me.
Yeah. Well, I think we reached Saluta. Would you like to add something?
I was muted. Sorry. No, I think the messages that you shared, Mariette, were resonating so much with me. You're giving me goosebumps. Most of us here are into empowering women and empowering men, of course. But for me, for example, I only work with women, and because I know how much women struggle behind closed doors, and I know how we have to balance all these roles in life. Being a mother, a wife, a child, building businesses, building careers, and everything. And we don't want to show any weakness, because if we show weaknesses, it might affect the image, it might whatever. So all the messages that you shared really resonated with me, and I know that they resonated with many of our viewers out there, because though there's more and more voices talking about these things, about people struggling behind closed doors, people going through experiences that behind these beautiful crafted profiles and these strong careers. They're actually human beings going through everyday life challenges. There's nothing more for me to add. I just want to thank you to thank Mariette and to thank you, Hanan, for sharing the stories and for being genuine and for empowering people to open up about the things that they're going through and the challenges that they overcame, because it's easier for people to resonate like that. It's easy for people to see that they are not alone. Despite this beautiful, crafted LinkedIn profile, there's actually a human being that might have gone through the same experience that you are going through now. And we're all trying to find our ways in life. And yesterday I had a conversation with my daughter who was almost 15, and I was telling her, nobody has it all figured out. We are figuring it out as we are going through it, right? Despite the fact that we want to have control, we want to have this feeling, we're figuring it out. So thank you for being so honest and genuine, and for speaking up and talking about all these topics that are so unfortunately common to so many people, right? All these struggles that we were talking about.
And thank you for talking from the heart also, Mariette. I mean,
And I thank you, ladies, for providing this opportunity because I'm certain, and for you to provide a platform for women and men, whoever wants to share really from experiences from the bottom of the heart, and really give out and say that, look, you can actually do this. This is just so liberating. It is really so liberating. And there are no taboos. There are nothing, just
yeah,
just
exactly.
let's do it. I mean, I really want to see of more efforts on self-empowerment and more efforts on really of learning and learning and moving the next generation basically forward, because there is up to a point, well, I mean, I'm 42. Okay, I don't have any children, but I still have the, theoretically, I still have the possibility, who knows? But it's really, preparing that next generation. And when we talk about all this chaos about the climate and the economy and the politics and everything else, I really would like to see the order going back to what Lao Tzu described in the Tao Te Ching. And that's just such a classic book for me. And it's everything that we need to know is basically in nature. And I agree with all this, the fact of technology advancements and the innovation, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, it is about human. And if we talk about robotics, I don't particularly want to see a robot me, but I'd like to see maybe some kind of a robotic device, for example, in a hospital that's kind of facilitating the existence of cancer patients, for example. It's kind of
It's finding the
Yeah.
way, it's finding the right balance to use technology
much
for the human
of a
best.
humanitarian angle. But when I see robots and kind of, I kind of, I don't know
Yeah.
where we're heading now.
Yeah. Well, I think we came to the end of the session.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, before we leave, Mariette, I wanted to ask you if you can share with our audience where they can connect with you, where can they find you, find your work, just before we leave.
Sure. I'm literally on LinkedIn 24/7. I've got an amazing virtual assistant who works with me. So, so we are literally 24/7. And my process of having my work edited at the moment. So there will be some announcements around March, around the end of March. And I just really hope again that I can help a lot of people with the information that's being presented.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for connecting with us, for watching us here. Feel free to connect with any of us anytime on LinkedIn. We are here, as Mariette said, almost 24/7 for me, not quite.
Thank you, Mariette. Thank you for being here, for showing up, even if I know that you are busy these days. And then thank you so much for sharing all the information that you shared with us.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariette. Bye.
Bye.